Captain's Vlog Brew Date 12. We're going back to making a workable wax again.
King Henry, will you do one thing for me? Will you open my right side and find my baby, and find my baby? Oh no, cried King Henry, that's a thing I never can do. If I lose the flower of England, I shall lose the branch too. I shall lose the branch too.
Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. So this is a summary video of where we are with our waxes. So we have made Forensic Formula 12 and a quick test Forensic Formula 13. Okay, so I wanted to try and speed this up a little bit. So 12 consists of 5 nuba, 13B, 1 montan, 2 parafin, so that's 24 grams of wax. The oils, we've got coconut, almond, kiwi and argon. So 7 coconut, 7 almond, 6 kiwi, 6 argon, 3 pine and 1 lavender. And that lavender oil is just giving us a really nice scented wax. It's mixing in with the pine and it's just creating a nice fragrance that's kind of natural, so I don't have to put any of the scents in, which is really just a road that I think I want to go down. Not 100% sure yet, but in terms of solvents, we've then got 43 grams of phase and 1 gram of d-limonene, okay? Now I'm still getting a problem with this wax cracking a little bit. It's just, the problem's just starting to tail away, or where it does crack, it sort of merges back together when you're rubbing it in. So it's starting to go, but even with 1 gram, when you've got that 1 gram of montan in the tub, it's quite a lot actually, and it's enough to sort of cause this to be brittle. Now I don't know if it's just the montan doing this, or if it's the way I'm pouring it or blending it, but this cracking, I can't have that. So I still want to keep a trace amount of montan in there because I like the sort of gloss that it gives. It's a kind of sharper, plasticized gloss. I want to keep a little bit, I want that property in there. So I thought either get rid of the carnauba and use the montan as the kind of crystalline hard wax, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted carnauba in there on this wax as well, because it's what most people will want to do as well, you know. So I'm just going to lower my montan down. So I wanted to experiment with that quickly, you know, without doing another video. So I quickly did another Forensic Formula 13, which is 5B, 5B, 13 nuba, 0.5 montan and 5 parafin. Okay, so that's 23.5 total by weight per 100 grams of wax. It's just not per 100 grams, that's just raw weight, okay? And then oil wise, I wanted to overload a little bit on oil, because I felt that 12, even though it works, it's nice, I still felt it needed some more, it needed a little bit more oil. I wanted to just see if putting in the oil would affect, you know, getting it softer and getting rid of the cracking problem. So I loaded up on oil and I just went 20-20 with the oil. So I went 20 coconut and 20 almond, and then 3 pine and 1 lavender again, and the same 43 phase, 1 limonene. So my overall ratio is 24, 44, 44, which is a skewed amount of oil. Again, I was just interested in those oils. And so what I've got there is the cracking problem kind of now seems to have gone. But it's quite an oil heavy wax, which makes it really easy to work and go on, but it makes it a bit greasy. Okay. But it's just, again, it gives me an idea of what my upper limits and lower limits are in terms of oils. And with them, obviously the amount of carrier you're going to need depends on type of waxes in there. And I've got 5 grams of carnauba, you know, in this 12, 1 gram of montan and 13 grams of beeswax. They're all, you know, the montan and the carnauba are very rock solid waxes and they need a lot of carrier. The bee, even though it's a nice soft wax and it works with low carrier, it's still quite a hard wax and benefits from being mixed in with those oils. So I'm sort of just trying to zoom in on where I need to be with the oils, and I'm keeping the wax levels as consistent as I can for the time being. And I think that around sort of, if I've got 24, 25 grams of wax per 100, then around about 30, maybe up to a maximum of about 35 grams of carrier oil is where I need to be, okay? And then the 45 grams of the solvent seems to be doing the job. So, yeah, we have taken a step forward with this wax. It's the problem we had with the previous versions where it was a bit too dry, a bit too much solvent and not enough carrier. Just about getting away with it because I've got high beeswax content which spreads okay, but too low on the carriers that I needed in there. We also got the 2 samples turned up of BMD Morpheus and BMD Sirius. Okay, so Morpheus, this wax is 83% carnauba, 83% by percentage of wax, which is staggeringly high, you know. And you can see this, when you use that much carnauba in your wax, no matter what you do, your wax is going to be quite cakey. And this is quite cakey. I actually found it quite dry as well. It's quite a dry wax, but again, it's because of the content. It's got a lovely watermelon scent to it. Even though it is high carnauba, it's well kind of formulated and it does go down on the car and melt. You know, it melts on okay. But I wasn't too keen on this Morpheus wax. Being 83% carnauba, it's gonna from just everything we've done so far, it's gonna limit you quite a lot. So yeah, I didn't like the way it went on. It came off okay. It gives gloss, but not much protection. I think, you know, not much protection is not the right word because it's a hard wax that's going to stay there for a while. But you know, the water sheeting and the water behaviour wasn't that great with this Morpheus. This Sirius one, which got a candy kind of scent to it, a lot softer, very grainy, really grainy, but still melts down and goes onto the panel really nice. I found this much more glossy, much more oily, much kind of softer, much easier to work on the panel, and much better results with the Sirius. I think this was a much better wax. Whatever he's doing there to get this wax like that, it's well put together. This I don't know if the graininess is deliberate or not, but it's not actually that much of a problem. You know, my R22, one of my favourite, R222, my favourite wax, is grainy as hell. But yeah, this wax is good, the Sirius, the BMD Sirius. I really like that. And it's interesting because it's nothing really like what I've got at the moment. So I think it's a high carnauba one, but nowhere near as high. I think it's more of a blend, but a much better show wax for me. I'm not too sure what the Morpheus is offering. So I've been playing around with all of them, especially the 13 I put all over the front of the Golf. And I still think that it's not where it needs to be. You know, it goes on okay, it goes off okay, but it just doesn't, the main criticism I've got with this wax is it doesn't seem to be leaving enough behind. So yeah, that's where we are. It's not leaving, it's a hard thing to describe, but if I use the other waxes, I can really feel them on the paintwork. The hydrophobic qualities of that are still great because it's quite high paraffin, so it does repel water well. It's there, but it just feels like it's not settling down on that paint. There's not as much of my wax as there is with these other products, and I think that's got something to do with the formulation. So I'm not quite there yet, and there's going to be a long way to go. Okay guys, I want to wrap this vlog up now. So we've taken a step forward with Forensic Formula 12 and our little tweak formula, Forensic Formula 13, which is a bit of a throwaway formula. But I just wanted to see if I could quickly get rid of the cracking problem with the montan that I was seeing in 12 by just lowering the montan down a little bit and a little bit further and increasing the oils more than I needed to. And it could. That wax didn't show, 13 didn't show any signs of cracking. So I think I'm going to be using less than 1 gram of montan, which isn't a lot really, but I'm going to keep it in there at that low ratio. So that was kind of where I was. I had, as always, since I've started doing this wax vlog, you know, made contact with a lot of people that are into this, you know, at all different levels, some that do it for a bit of fun, some that do it to a very high standard. And I've got another guy made contact with me just to sort of give me some advice, which is fantastic. And I think he's given me some really good advice that I need to act on, you know, if I'm going to improve this thing. So the first tip I was given was that I need to sort of move away perhaps from working on these small 100 gram brews, you know, because, or blends, whatever you want to call them, these small samples of wax, because when you're only using, say, 1 gram of one ingredient in there, like 1 gram of d-limonene, 1 gram of pine, if you've got a margin of error of, say, plus 0.1 gram, that's still 10% of that 1 gram, you know what I mean? So all your margins for error are a lot higher when you're making smaller blends. So if you make, say, 500 milliliters, it reduces that effect, or even more. So making more was a bit of advice he said to me was going to be critical, and I can kind of see why. I think the downside when I thought about it was I'm going to be using a lot more wax, but really, if it improves the quality of what I'm doing, and I think it will, I can see the logic, and I think that's something that I need to do moving forward. Plus it'll also allow me to make batches of it and get more sent out to people. I've been sending quite a few out, but I want to send out more and more as we start making more. So that's the first thing. Another thing, this didn't come from this guy, but another thing someone else said to me was about I need to pay more attention to temperature still. And I think this chap mentioned it as well, that the temperatures at which you kind of pour are important, you know, letting the wax perhaps cool down. Being more aware of the temperatures is something I need to pay attention to. So I'm going to be, I had that crappy kitchen thermometer thing, but it's no good. So I'm going to get myself a decent thermometer and start, in each brew, start making a note of temperatures and the effects of what temperatures I melt the wax at, what temperatures I add the solvents at, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Just being more temperature aware and seeing the impact of temperature on the pores or the blends. The third thing, and I think this was a really good tip, and this is something I'd kind of loosely skirted over when I first started researching all that, and that is there's types of carrier oils which are classified as drying oils, and those oils, if you laid them out on their own, are more prone to drying away, changing almost like a polymer. Polymer changes its kind of chemical chain. I'm not sure if a drying oil does that, but what it does is it's more prone to drying out than the other oils. So that way you can get the carrier properties of the oil initially, and then when it dries out, you'll get more of a pure wax. So it's not a solvent because it's not dissolving the wax; it's carrying it and then drying to a different finish. So having a proportion of drying oils of your carrier could be important. Now, two oils which I'd stumbled across as being good drying oils from my early research was linseed oil and walnut oil. And I tried linseed oil and I didn't like the coloration of it. and I didn't think it was great on the gloss either, although that's always a bit of a subjective thing. But I think I'm gonna try in my next brew using half the oils as drying oils and the other half as gloss oils, you know, oils which are going to help carry the wax and provide gloss. So a split 50-50 between drying oils and carrier oils. He also recommended grapeseed oil as a very good carrier for gloss. So I've ordered some grapeseed oil to check out how that behaves. I thought almond oil and coconut oil were quite good, but this guy wasn't too keen on either of those, but said they're still good, but perhaps in smaller quantities, especially the coconut. So that's something that I need to I trust his advice, but I also need to learn, so I've got to play around with it, you know, and kind of see if that's the case. Coconut I can understand. It can be a bit draggy to take off, but the almond didn't have any problems that I'd noticed with it, but maybe there's just better oils for gloss. So yeah, going to try out the grapeseed. Another thing, and this is a tip that Anthony gave me actually, I'm not sure if I've already mentioned this, but using better beeswax that's actually graded, BP grade, refined beeswax, and I'm going to use a bleached one because I don't, the purer whiter colour appeals to me, okay? So I've ordered some better grade of BP beeswax, bleached white. Another tip that this chap gave me was, don't be afraid. If I've made a brew and I can spot a problem with it, you know, it's cured and there's a problem with it, don't be afraid, if that problem can be fixed by adding ingredients, to melt that wax back down again, add those ingredients and check it. Okay, that's something that never occurred to me. I didn't even know you could do it. I thought maybe if you heated it all back up again, you'd mess up the solvents. I just didn't know you could do it. So that's a great bit of advice actually. And I'll definitely be using that advice in the future. If I spot a problem, it saves me going to make it all again, just melt it down, fix the problem and re-pour it. Fantastic. The couple of the penultimate things, get a good thermometer and start using it. I've already mentioned that. The other thing is I need to get a proper beaker for my pours. I'm basically at the moment melting my wax down and pouring it straight out of the tin, out of the tub that goes into the machine. It seems to work okay without spilling, but I've just ordered a Pyrex beaker with a measuring scale on it so I can pour into that and then use that to pour my waxes. So if I'm doing loads, it's going to be a bit more accurate and give me a better pour. So these are all the things I'm going to be looking to move forward on. In solvents as well, I'm trying to source some D40 solvents called Xenon D40, which is a lower flashpoint solvent that might, if I mix it as a blend, might help with the removal of my wax. A slightly lighter solvent. I'm not sure if it's faster vaping. I think it might be. I need to check that out. But again, it will give me that trigger mechanism. So my mind is kind of thinking that I'm going to be doing an 80% 80 flashpoint blend with about 19% D40 and then a little bit of the d-limonene still, because I like that in there for keeping the wax easier to remove, just a little bit. So yeah, that's where we're going to be going with the next brew. Also still researching, trying to get some wax additives going. Might be a bit early to start thinking about that, but it's something I'm sort of actively pursuing at the moment and spending a lot of time researching and reaching out to people to see if I can get suppliers of various additives to try and really enhance the wax. And I've mentioned it before, polymers. You know, you've got your different types of polymers, your silicon polymers, your acrylic polymers, probably a ton of other ones I don't know about. You've got your SiO2, siloxane additives, and there's tons of other ones as well. So really, I want to try and learn a bit about that chemistry side so I can go beyond just making a kind of natural wax blend. I want those natural waxes in there, but I want additives which will provide extra durability without affecting all of the great kind of gloss characteristics you get with the natural show wax. This is just, again, up in my head. There might be technical problems with doing that, but I just want to go down that route with it as well. So yeah, there we are. So that is our finished kind of video vlog for this week. Still moving in the right direction. You know, got great set of tips from someone that really knows what they're doing as well, which is one of the best things about doing this, is kind of getting to meet people that have got a lot of experience and, you know, willing to, they love it, so they kind of, you know, they share their knowledge and help you. So that's fantastic. So yeah, thanks very much for to provide all that information, and we will be back again next week, going again with another blend. And we're also going to be doing some detailing, a full detail on a on this M3. So that's going to be lots of fun as well for next week. So lots more coming on the channel, so stay tuned.
There was fear